Hello Floss Tube, this is Dina and today is May 1st and it's the beginning of Stitch Mania. So right as I'm getting ready to start Stitch Mania, I have just finished up my magazine sale that I started in April. So I didn't get to finish it until this morning, but I wanted to get it done before I started working on my Maynia stitch for the day. So I want to show you my finish, and then I'm going to insert a picture of where I'm at in my project for today for Stitch Mania. I'm stitching on Firefly Faeries because I started it on May 1st last year, and I'll stitch on it today in honor of that. So my finish is from Alma Lynn's Country Cross Stitch, and it is a 4th of July ornament that I took from a bigger piece. So I'm going to show you the whole piece if I can here. It's kind of an awkward book, sorry. But here's the piece here, this long one. And what I did is I just took from the numbers, the hearts, and the numbers down to the little girl. And I just took that piece out because it measured the right size to give me 2 ornaments that shape, tall and more narrow. So here's my finish. I finished that this morning, finished the back stitching on it. So now I am ready to start on my Stitch Mania stitch for the day. It's about noon, and so I'm having a little bit of a later start than I had wanted to, but had some things I had to do this morning. So I hope your Mania is getting off to a great start, and what I'll do is insert a picture of my starting point here, and then when I finish stitching tonight, I will film how far I got today. So happy stitching on day 1 of Stitch Mania. Here we go. Now you can see how far I've gotten today on my Firefly Fairies. I did what I was hoping to do. I came across here, filled a lot of this in, and came on down the sleeve. Basically what I'm doing, I filled in some of this petticoat, got her hand done. So I'm working my way across here to get everything filled in. I got this section done almost down to here, but I've got enough of it to give me a good working line across here. And so I only had one day to work on it, but my next time that I pick this up in rotation, I'll work on this area, and then that will afford me the opportunity to roll this up, and I'll be able to start working further down on the piece. I really think the decision to leave spaces for beads instead of trying to bead as I go has helped me to move a lot quicker. You can see that in here as well. I think that's just was the right decision to make. But as you can see, I've got a little more progress. I filled in the rest of this petticoat. It's now finished, and I got a lot more of this dress done because I only had the hat done before. So got her neck and the drape here and that sleeve. So made a good progress for one day. Anyway, good start to Stitch Mania. Happy stitching, everyone. See you tomorrow. Hello everyone, happy Stitch Mania. This is Dina, and I'm here to give you a report on how I'm doing this 3rd day of Mania. If you will recall from watching my plans for Mania, my first day I spent working on Firefly Fairies because that was a start a year ago. And then the 2nd day of May, I was going to start one of my Christmas ornaments. And I was going to start Glory to God in the Highest, right there. And I was going to do all of these originally on white Aida because I had a box of that, or a little package of that, and I was just going to use it for all of them. And then I looked over on my ironing board where I had trimmed off Smoky Mountain Christmas to take it to the frame shop, and I had this long, beautiful piece of this gorgeous white linen. So I decided, these are done on linen in the model stitches, so that's perfect, and it's a white background. It'll fill in no matter what. So I started it on May 2nd, that ornament, and I had hoped that for some of them I would be able to finish them by the second day of stitching, because I'm starting something new every other day. And I am happy to report I have a finish. So there's my Glory to God in the Highest. It is a lovely stitch. It was easy enough to do. I worked on it both days, and it's really good timing that I have these three at the first part of May, because when I set these plans, I was not aware that my life was going to get a little bit interrupted with some family situations. So I've had a family member have outpatient surgery, and I had to take them there and wait for them and bring them home and get them settled and check on them, and, you know, just take care of someone for a little bit more than usual. And so as it turned out, I was able to stitch enough once I got situated at home and had time to myself again to start and finish on time this first Christmas tree ornament. So there's my first one, and I'll be washing it and drying it and pressing it, and then I can put it over to the side for finishing, because I plan on finishing all my Christmas tree ornaments together for this group of 10 that I'm starting for Maynia. So that means tomorrow I have a new start. My new start tomorrow is going to be another one of these. I'm going to do the For Unto Us a Child is Born. And I like these because they're very similar in color, but the borders are different. And the way that the words are stitched, the font, if you will, is different. So they obviously are a set, but they're not cookie cutter, you know, not identical. So it makes it a little interesting when you get to stitch on it again. So that's awesome. Anyway, I'm glad that I got to share this with you. I don't know if I'll be able to do this every time because I will be taking care of my family member for probably a couple of weeks. But when I have a moment and I can, I will stop and I will tell you about what I've done each day as far as my Maynia starts and how I'm doing. So I'm very excited that we got that finish on time as planned. So that's great. I hope I can get the rest of them in this little series done the same way. I'll keep my fingers crossed, and I'll keep stitching, and you do too. So happy Maynia to all of you. I hope it's going well. Talk to you in a couple of days. Bye. Hello everyone, this is Dina. Welcome to May 5th, the 5th day of Stitch Maynia. I am having a ball. I hope you all are. I started and finished my first Christmas ornament on the 2nd and 3rd, and then on the 4th I started my second Christmas ornament for Unto Us a Child is Born, and I have finished it. So I'll show you my finish. Got a couple of strings hanging from the edge there. Right, this was a scrap of linen, white linen, that I cut off of my Smoky Mountain Christmas. And so these 3 ornaments are going to be in that scrap of linen. I've cut it into 3 sections. And today I am to start Good Tidings of Great Joy. And then that will be the 3 that are in this series. I really love it too. These are so cute. I was going to show you the 2 together just so I can talk about them for a minute. you'll notice the borders are a little different. And the third one is even different still. And that gives them a uniqueness for each one. And yet the colors and the styling, of course, you know, speaks to them being a trio. So I'm really enjoying this. I'm really glad I picked these 3 to get started with, because then that gives me an opportunity to do what I had hoped to do, which was finish some of these during Maynia. And I'm hopeful that I can finish this 3rd one as well in the 2 days. I have it, I start it tomorrow, and I have tomorrow and Sunday to get that one done. There's a lot going on this weekend. Our family is going to go to the movies together, and you know, we have a couple of things like at church and things that we have to do. So I'm hoping I'll get in enough time to stitch. These are the simplest of the tree ornaments that I selected. So that way it gives me a great start, and I get the finishes early on. So if I don't get to finish any more after this, at least I finish these 3, and that'll be great. So the only other thing I wanted to talk to you about today is that I saw a tag recently that Sonya did from Cat Crazy Creations, and it was a 20 random things about me tag, and she challenged her subscribers to do that tag. And so I jotted down 20 things about me that I don't think I've ever shared before. And also with keeping in mind, you don't want to give away too much personal information to people that wish you harm, you know, that are just out there trolling for stuff to steal your identity and things like that. So hopefully these stories will be entertaining to you, these little tidbits of information, but not to the point where someone might damage me with them. I hate it that we have to think about things like that, but we do. So here's my tag of 20 random things about me. And the first one is, I play the piano. I don't play it well anymore. I did it one time. I took about 8 years of piano lessons when I was a younger child and teenager. And I have played for my husband to sing at events and churches and things at one time. But it has been so many years since I have touched a piano that I don't think my fingers would have memory of how to do that. But I did play a piano at one time. I mentioned on my videos a couple of times that my husband and I sing in our church choir. And so I thought what I would mention today is that I sing alto. So I sing harmony. I'm not a soprano. I do not sing high, but I love to add the harmony, and I think that is keeps you challenged, keeps me reading music even if I don't play it. So that's a fun thing for me to do. I was an avid roller skater as a young person. I think my 7th year birthday party was at our local skating rink. And we had a little party room and had cake and ice cream, and everybody got to skate for my birthday. And I roller skated up until after I was married. It was great fun. I enjoyed it. And I used to race and everything. I had a great time. Another little tidbit about me is that I almost drowned once, at least once, maybe twice. I grew up swimming from the time I was a little kid, and around here, close to where I live, we swam mostly in lakes, and so you can't see in the water. And we went swimming once with friends of ours, and it was over my head to get from the end of the slide that wasn't over my head to the ladder to climb up on the slide where it was over my head. It was deep. And I was swimming to the ladder so I could climb up and slide. And I got, I don't know if I got frightened or what, but I started going down. And I went down 3 times. And a friend that was there with me was the son of our neighbors that took us to this swimming hole. He saw me go down the 3rd time and just reached down and grabbed my hair and pulled me up, and probably saved my life. But I would say around 10 or 11 years old at the time, but I remember it to this day very vividly. So it was a scary moment in my life, and I'm grateful that it didn't happen. It didn't have a terrible ending. I used to fish with my father. My father loved to fish. He was a big fisherman, and he had a fishing boat, and we would go to the lake every weekend, and my dad would hit the lake and go fishing. And I would go fishing with him and spend a lot of many hours on that lake with my father. And if the fish weren't exactly biting well, I would take a novel and I would read and lay up on the front of the boat and get some sun and just talk to my dad and spend time with him, which was great fun. But related to that, you know, I had to bait my own hook and had to learn to take my own fish off and all that kind of stuff. And I could bait worms, and I could bait little, you know, willow flies, and I could bait the minnows, but I couldn't handle crickets. If my father was fishing with crickets, I would tell him, either you bait my hook or I can't go. I didn't like crickets. They would crawl on your hand as you were trying to bait them, and I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. To this day, I don't like crickets. The other thing I had to be aware of, too, of being outdoors is that I'm allergic to bee stings. So I've been stung by a yellow jacket before, and it got me right up under the chin. I wasn't even aware that it was there, and it stung me, and my whole throat on the inside almost swelled closed, and my mom thought she was going to take me to the ER, but we were able to give me Benadryl and get it down, so it worked out okay. So I avoid stinging insects as much as possible. I have been known to run from them, which is not good. I was always sort of an overachiever. I enjoyed school, loved school. When we were in high school, we could take so many classes and have a study hall, and I felt like my study hall was a waste of time. So I always took 6 full classes, and in so doing, I had all the credits I needed to graduate except one when I finished the 11th grade. And so I went to summer school that summer and took my 12th grade English and graduated a year early from high school so I could go on to college. And I was the only one in my class that summer who had not failed 12th grade English and needed it to graduate. So I kept that very quiet to myself while I was there until they got to know me a little bit better. So yeah, I graduated after only 4 years in high school, but that was mainly just because I worked hard. Mother's Day has always been very fun in my family. Once I became a mom and we moved back home, which was probably when my son was about 2 years old, we started going to Six Flags on Mother's Day. And the difference of that day, rather it being for me rather than my son, is that my husband and son had to do what I wanted to do. So if I wanted to see a show, they had to go to the show. I got to ride whatever I wanted to ride. We had to eat where I wanted to eat. It was truly my day. And it was my favorite time to go to Six Flags. And we did that for years. Just recently have stopped doing that. And but great fun. And I highly recommend it. And when we first started that, it wasn't very crowded. So there weren't lines anywhere. But then toward the end, one of the reasons we stopped doing it is that everyone else caught on to that. It was a good idea and people thought of it. So it became very crowded on Mother's Day. So we're not doing that anymore. I mentioned probably on more than one occasion that my husband hikes. And he's not the only hiker in the family. My son hikes with him as well. And I have hiked. I've hiked with him on multiple occasions. But the longest hike that I've done at any one time was a 5-mile hike. And we hiked up a mountain to a inn, a very rustic inn. We did have a little bunk bed to sleep in and a breakfast the next morning, but it was very rustic, but lovely. And we hiked to the Hike Inn, which is the name of it, 5 miles up one day and spent the night and had breakfast. And then we hiked the 5 miles out the next day. So within 24 hours, I hiked 10 miles, but there was a night in between. There's something unique about me that a lot of people don't know, and that is that I like to write, but I write murder mystery games to where there are 8 characters and there's a murder that has occurred and all 8 people are suspects. And yet even the person who is the murderer does not know that they're the murderer till the final round. There are 3 rounds in the game. And I have written about 8 of these and have created the clue books for each player and the characters for each player. And our friends all have a great time when I finish one. Each one will be a character, and we'll get together over dinner and play the murder mystery game. And so that's something that only those people that are closest to me really know that. Now, you do. I also have cut my family's hair. And I've cut mine in the past, and I've cut my son's for most of his life until he was an adult and could go to the barber himself. And I've cut my husband's many a year when, you know, money was tight and that was something I could do instead of paying someone to do that. But unfortunately, I had one haircut mishap, and it was with my son. He was in high school, and he played football, and he wanted a buzz cut. And we got the little clipper things, you know, that you buzz cut with. And he was holding it, playing with it, and I didn't realize he had taken the guard off that lets you, you know, keep the hair the same length all over the head. He had taken it completely off, and I didn't realize it, and I was going to get a little snag of hair that was jagged or something. And I went straight up the back of his head, and there was no guard, and so it was skin, just all the way to the skin on a little strip right here. I thought, of all people, he's in high school, they're going to, you know, tease him to death. I screamed. My husband thought I'd cut his ear off. Anyway, we took him to a hairdresser who was able to cut his hair really close to his head and hide it for the most part. And my son wasn't even upset about it. I was crying, and he didn't even care. He said, it'll grow back. You know, he was just so calm about the whole thing. But I was very careful from then on when I cut his hair. I do sew a little bit, and I took sewing lessons one summer. My mom was a beautiful seamstress and taught me how to sew, but she thought that it would be better when I was about 13 or so for me to go take formal lessons from someone that wasn't my mom. She thought I might listen to them better, I guess, or that they may teach something that she didn't know. And it would also give me something to do in the summer, you know, something entertaining to do. And so I took sewing lessons that one summer, and I loved it. I had a great time, but I came back and told my mom she was a better teacher and knew more than the lady I was taking classes from, and that was the end of that. My mom taught me the rest. I didn't have to go anywhere else. When I was first in college, I wanted to be sure I could get a job anywhere that I might move. And so I took an executive secretarial course so that I could know to type and do computers. And I actually learned the old-fashioned Greg shorthand. So for a time in my life, I took shorthand. It came in very handy in college when I was taking notes, and a professor would be a very fast talker. I could just convert to shorthand and catch everything they said. And I'll never forget, there was a student in one of my classes who missed a lot and was always wanting to borrow people's notes. And I felt like, you know, we were doing the work for them. And so one day they, you know, asked me for my notes, and I said, sure, and handed them to her. Of course, they were all shorthand. So I would have loved to have seen her face when she tried to figure out what they meant. Okay, I've also mentioned that my husband is a big bike rider, and I started riding bikes with him when he first started out, and I had my own street bike and racing bike, whatever you want to call it, and we rode bikes together quite often until I had worked up to about 14 miles an hour, and I was riding along one day at about 14 miles an hour, and I looked down and noticed how fast the street was going by me. And the thought hit me, if I were to fall at doing this speed, I could really hurt myself. And I got a little fear in that, and it never went away, and I wasn't comfortable riding anymore. And so wound up selling my bicycle. But for a while, I was riding as well. Number 16, the things about me that you don't know. I have a fairly extended family. We don't see each other very often anymore. They're all grown and have their own families and that sort of thing. But I have 8 nieces and nephews. And from those 8 nieces and nephews, I have 4 great nieces and I have 14 great nephews. So it's a great fun on Facebook to keep up with them, you know, and what they're doing and see them on occasion. I wish we could see each other more often, but I do have a fairly large extended family. My wedding anniversary is coming up in June, and it'll be 41 years this year. So That's another fact I'm not sure you would have known unless you saw my anniversary present last year. When I was a kid, I loved to read. And I still read, as you know. I do book reviews every now and then. And I can remember being in summer reading programs where you could keep a list of all the books you read and turn them in and get little awards or certificates, you know, if you read so many books. And I can remember reading over 200 books in a summer because I powered through them. I just devoured them. I love to read. Interesting fact. My husband and my late father shared the same birth date, even though it wasn't the same year. Their birthdays were on the same day, which I thought was kind of funny. And final fact number 20, when I was young, when I was a little girl, my brother, who was much older than I was, he was about, I think, 14 or 15 when I was born, he would send my mom a beautiful corsage on Mother's Day. And my mom's mother was deceased, so my mom would get this beautiful white corsage. And I would get a beautiful red corsage. And the card always said, "From your secret admirer." And he never would own up to it. I would thank him for the flowers, and he'd say, "What are you talking about?" Acting like he didn't know anything about it. But those are the 20 random facts about me. So, Sonya, I have accepted your tag challenge, and I have answered it for you. So I hope you've enjoyed those little tidbits of information, just as a fun get acquainted time, as you mentioned. And I will hope that some of my subscribers will take up that challenge and do the same thing and tell us 20 cute things or 20 fun things about their self that we might not know. I hope you guys are having a great, great Stitch Mania. And just remember to enjoy it. Doesn't matter if you don't get everything started you wanted to, or you don't finish everything you hope to, or just remember it's a time to just let loose and do craziness with your stitching. I just hope you enjoy it. I will try to get back with you in a couple of days, and hopefully we'll have another ornament to show you, and can talk a little bit more about plans. So enjoy. Happy stitching, everyone. Bye-bye. Hello, Floss Tube. Happy Stitch Mania. Today is Sunday, May 7th, and I am thrilled to be able to share with you that I have finished my third Stitch Mania start, which is the third in a series of Christmas ornaments. And this is the finish. Good tidings of great joy. So now I have a little trio. Let's see if I can hold them all up at the same time. There's the first two that you've already seen. And now here's the third to go with it. So I think those will make a great little set. And now I finished that part. So I will start tomorrow, my new start, which will be the two little penguins tree ornaments. And there are two of those that I've decided to do. There are three in that set as well, but I decided I only wanted to do two of them for Stitch Mania. And so tomorrow I'll be starting the little couple of the penguin that are singing with the songbook. I think that'll be precious. And I couldn't be happier with how my Stitch Mania is going. I think this was a great idea for me because I won't be too overwhelmed. And I am ecstatic that I've been able to finish these three first ones within the 2-day time frame that I allowed. I think the next two ornaments may be even a little more stitching, a little more subject matter to them, a few more colors, and I may or may not be able to finish them in 2 days. And in the middle of the week, my husband and I are going to take a trip for the weekend for my Mother's Day present. And I don't know how much stitching I will get over the few days that we'll be gone. I'll be taking it with me. But since it is a Mother's Day trip, he's going to want to treat me to dinner or to a movie or something sweet, and I'm going to enjoy that immensely. So I have some family time coming up, and I may not get to stitch as much as I have been. So I may be showing you my starts, and I may not be able to show you a finish at the same time. So that's okay. I was expecting that anyway. So whatever I get started is helpful, right? It's that much closer to my tree of ornaments for Christmas. So I think that was a really good plan for me this year, and I'm glad that it turned out that way. So I will see you hopefully either tomorrow or the next day so that I can show you how far I've gotten on the first of 2 penguin ornaments. In the meantime, I hope your Stitch Mania is going extremely well. I hope you're enjoying it. I hope you're letting it be a very fun thing for you and not something that's causing you stress, undue anxiety. I don't think that was the intention. So if it is, back up and regroup and change it up so it's fun for you, because that's what it needs to be. You guys have a great day of stitching, and until I see you again, happy Stitch Mania. Bye. Hello, Floss Tubers. This is Dina, and today is Tuesday, May the 9th, and I'm here to share with you my next Stitch Mania start. And it was to be another Christmas ornament, and it is an ornament that has 2 little penguins singing, and that was to represent my husband and myself singing in our choir at church. So this is the book that I got it out of, The Better Homes and Gardens Cross Stitch Christmas, and it is the October 10th, 2000 edition. I love these old magazines. Don't ever get rid of your old magazines. You never know when you might stitch out of them. I love it. Anyway, I will show you my ornament. I did finish it. And here it is. Aren't they precious? Cute, cute, cute little penguins singing together, sharing a songbook. We always participate in the Christmas music at our church, and so we'll also usually go to some sort of concert or play or something early in December to kick off our Christmas season. So we love music, my husband and I think that really is a cute little representative of he and I. Love it. So that has been great, and I'm really tickled that I finished it. So I do want to talk to you about a change in my Mania plans. It wouldn't be Mania if we didn't change something, right? After stitching these little penguins and it taking so long to stitch something so small because it's so detailed, I decided that the second penguin piece really wasn't one of my favorites. I was really doing it just to have a companion for this, but I think I can find penguins in other books and things, and I think I may look for that. So my plan right now is to pull forward the next ornament that I was going to stitch. And I'll check my list here. And that one was to be Noel. So I will find that in my book where I've got it marked. And tomorrow I will be starting Noel on the 10th of May. So other than that, I have something that I am doing today in answer to a challenge from Taryn. Taryn, I watched your videos, both of them, where you had confessions. And you have challenged us to make confessions. So I've decided to help you not to feel like you're the only one that has things that to be confessed. I will make a confession. My confession surrounds these 3 skeins. These 3 skeins of floss were needed by me to finish Smoky Mountain Christmas. So I went to Joann's, and I actually went there thinking that that I was going to get an entire set of DMC because Vonna had recommended that before the price hike. And I had a coupon on my phone. It was a newsletter, one of their shopping newsletters that you get electronically. And it had an ad in there in the newsletter saying, or weekly ad, I think is what they call it. It said that their DMC was 3 for 99 cents. So I thought, I looked at my stash to see which pieces I had multiples of, and I was going to skip those and just get the ones that I didn't have more than one skein of, and then divide them out and have 2 complete sets of DMC, so I would have a backup set. Well, I got there and I went to the front desk because I knew I had to have these 3 no matter what. And I went to the front desk with these and said, I just want to check with you before I go take the time to pull all this DMC and make sure that the ad is still good, because it said it goes through tomorrow. But I want to make sure. I didn't see a sign back there, so it made me a little nervous that it wasn't being honored at that store. So the lady was very helpful, and she scanned these for me, and she said, no, they're not on sale. They were still 43 cents or 44 cents, something like that. And I said, well, I need these 3, but I'm not going to go get everything else. If it's not on special, I'm not going to get it. So I asked her why they weren't honoring their ad. And she just said, I don't know. It's not in the computer. And they have, as y'all know, they have to scan each one. And she couldn't scan them and then override them. She didn't have a coupon or anything. So she couldn't help me. And I didn't have time to ask to speak to anyone else, or to argue about it or anything, which is not my nature anyway. So I just left with these 3 skeins. Well, I thought, well, that's okay. I got to finish Smoky Mountain Christmas. I got things to do, no harm done. Except I had driven 30 minutes to go to Joann's instead of 5 up the road to the one here that doesn't carry any cross-stitch supplies. So went on about my business and came home. I actually stopped and bought some groceries and things as well on the way home. Came home and put everything away, and came into my sewing room and got busy working. And when I got ready to pull one of these threads that I had just purchased and work on Smoky Mountain Christmas, I couldn't find them anywhere. Tore my sewing room apart. Looked through every bag in here. Looked through my Joann's bags. Could not find them anywhere. All I could figure is I had dropped them going out of the store, or had left them on the counter accidentally, or something. I could not find them. But as I said, I had to have them to finish. So I had to get in my car and go across town to the Michaels and buy them again, which I did, and came back and started stitching. Scratching my head. Where are my skeins of floss? Well, that, as you know, has been a week or so, maybe almost 2 now since I finished it. Yesterday, my son packed his lunch and went to work and texted me when he got to dinner that night. He works night shift at the hospital, and he sent me a picture of these 3 and said, look what I found in my lunch bag. Well, I had somehow gotten my bag, my little plastic bag, mixed up with my grocery bags that I had unloaded and put everything away that day. And I keep my plastic bags from my groceries in a little wire drawer in my pantry for us to take our lunches with, my husband or my son. We recycled them. And I had put that back in that drawer, and without knowing it, he had leftovers to take with him to dinner that night from his lunch that day. And he grabbed a bag, put the stuff in there, and took off to work. Didn't even look, just put it in there. And when he got ready to eat that night and he pulled his dinner out, he had this for dessert. So at least now the mystery has been solved, Taryn. And my confession is that I put the bag in there with the grocery bags, and that's where my 3 skeins were that I had to go back and buy again. So now I have plenty of this color. So you aren't the only one who gets distracted and, as you said, throws away a bag meant for goodwill into the trash. And here I took my freshly purchased skeins of floss and put them in my lunch bag drawer, and then I had to go buy them again. So What do we chalk that up to? Just being busy, maybe? I don't know. But that's my confession, and I did that especially for you, Taryn. I hope you feel better. You guys, I know we all do silly things every now and then. Isn't it fun to laugh together over it and to know that you'll still think well of me and you know, not judge me by that one momentary lapse of sanity. I hope that that you have some fun stories you can share too, and that you will you know, play along with Taryn and do your confessions. Anyway, it was great fun, Taryn. I hope I don't ever have any more to share with you. But I enjoyed doing that one. Anyway, I hope you're having a great Stitch Mania, and I think from all the stitching we're doing in Stitch Mania, we may have some great stories to tell by the end of the month. But I hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful time, that you are making great strides in your starts, or if you're working on whips for your Mania, that you're getting a lot done. So I'm enjoying watching your updates. Several of you have been updating daily. And I'm thinking that I may see how long all these little clips will be together, and depending on how much time I already have recorded, I may put mine up early and show a part of it at a time. So I'll go check that out. But thanks for inspiring me. I have gotten so many great ideas for stitching, for projects I might want to do. Just watching your Stitch Mania plans and seeing your progress. So thanks for being inspiring for me. And in the meantime, until we talk again, I hope you have happy stitching. Goodbye.